Hey everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in tonight to the business overview meeting here with Family First Life. My name is Marisa Maggio, and I am with Family First Life Solidity here out of Boston, Massachusetts. And I'm going to be going over the opportunity that we do have here at Family First Life. Now, just to kind of tell you guys a little bit about myself, prior to being with Family First Life, I was in the insurance industry, or have been in the insurance industry for about 7 years now. I got into the industry coming, fresh out of college. Now, when I was coming out of college, I kind of wore an entitlement hat, meaning I had just graduated. I had my bachelor's degree, mind you, not even my master's. And I was telling my sister how much of a loser I was because I still didn't have a real job. Now, at the time, I was bartending and serving tables, and that's what I had been doing through college. So I didn't really have a whole lot of, experience prior. I had absolutely no insurance experience, but also above that, I had absolutely no sales experience, right? So I had lost my mom in 2013 in my junior year in college, so prior to coming into the industry. Now, when I exited, college, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, or more so being harsh on myself and telling my sister how much of a loser I was, really what I realized was I just needed to go out there and see what was out there, right? So in doing so, I came across a job ad, which at the time it was not for Family First Life. Family First Life was, premature. I did not know it existed. I didn't know, and I didn't know. And essentially I realized, hey, nobody really wakes up every day and says, I really want to be a life insurance agent, right? Like I know, I didn't wake up and say that. However, when I went to an interview, which was more of like a kind of bait and switch interview, it wasn't like, oh, we sell life insurance. It was like, we might sell some type of benefits, or it was very vague. Now, in getting to that interview, what I realized was after losing my mom, my junior year in college, my sister and I, we were okay financially, but by no stretch of the imagination were we in a good place financially. So just like nobody wakes up every day and says, I want to be a life insurance agent, I didn't either. But what I did see was the impact it had on my sister and I when my mom passed away, and the impact that it had on my sister and I when my mom passed away with some insurance, but not with enough insurance, so to say. So it pulled me into the industry. So I said, okay, this looks like a great place where I can, have a great earning potential long-term. And above that, I'm able to help people in a way that I wish somebody had helped, my sister and I more before, losing my mom. So I saw that I could make a bigger impact. And that's really what got me into the industry, was just seeing like, hey, this is bigger than you, and that's okay. But become a part of it, and you can help other people never have to deal with the impact that you and your sister dealt with. So fast forward to Family First Life. So just so you guys stay with me, hopefully kind of throughout this, I was with 2 previous companies before being able to get the opportunity to work here at Family First Life. And again, that goes back to you don't know what you don't know, right? So Family First Life was created in 2013, December of 2013, by our president and CEO, Sean Mike. It was created for the agent, by the agent. What I mean by that is Sean looked at it in a couple of different ways. He said, if it's good for the agent, good for the client, and it's not going to hurt the company, then I'm in for it. So Sean, being at his prior, IMO, was able to say, hey, I see a bigger picture here. I see a way that we can disrupt the market. I see that there's a whole bunch of people in this industry that are really taking advantage of other people. If you're in the industry, you might be able to relate to this. If you're not, just truck along with me. So essentially, again, help the client first, the agent, and it doesn't hurt the company, it's good for us, right? And my biggest fear coming into the industry at all was, do I have the particular skill set that's going to be needed to do this job, so to say? Now, with that being said, there's people on the team from every different background. There's not, a right background you can come from. And to be extremely transparent with you guys, this isn't like, fact, but typically people who haven't worked a sales position before, when they come in, they usually tend to do a lot better than folks that have been in a sales position before, because they have old habits. Old habits die hard, but guess what? They still die. So essentially there's no wrong background, right? We have Christina, who was also a bartender, right? We have Rami, who was in medical school. We have Heather Coletti, who was a teacher, right? There's no background that's a bad background, or you're not, you can't have that background, right? So there's not a wrong person for this position unless you don't have a heart to care about people. If you don't care about people, you might be able to help a couple of families make some money, but this is not going to be your long-term thing. It just doesn't work. So going back to Family First Life. So essentially market disruptor, right? We think about things like Netflix, right? No one's going out and renting movies anymore. We think about Airbnb, right? The hotel and hospitality business really took a hit. We think about Amazon and how retail took a hit, right? And now when you think about the insurance industry, I want you to think about Family First Life, okay? And the reason I say that, I'm going to talk about a couple of things. And if you don't have a pen and paper, you absolutely want to grab one, as you should definitely have a few questions after I go through all these things. Some points I'm going to hit on, the first one being compensation. Now, if somebody tells you that your compensation doesn't matter, that would be the equivalent to saying, it doesn't matter how much you get paid to work here, as long as you work here. Of course, your compensation matters. So comp matters. In my first company that I worked with, just to give you guys a little bit of insight, my compensation starting was a 30%. Now, some of you guys out there, if you're not in the industry, might be like, oh, 30%, that's not bad. In this industry, it is bad. Here at Family First Life, we're working with agents who are starting anywhere between 90 all the way up to 145%. So 90 to a 145 versus most other IMOs are starting people between 25% to 60%. So coming in the door, you're coming in with just a way higher comp, which is huge. The second thing would be renewals. Renewals essentially meaning that we talk about the first time you write a piece of business, you're going to get paid residual income on it, your back end pay, right? Your yearly pay. So every time your client pays their policy or every year after, it's going to continue to pay you residual income or renewals. Now, in my first company, I was told I had to be there for 10 years. And I was super excited about this, by the way, guys. I was 20. I was told I had to be there for 10 years. And in the 10th year, they would pay my renewals out. Keyword being my renewals, right? I was all jacked up and I was like, oh, that's awesome. What I realized shortly after, or a year and a half after, was that wasn't awesome. And I lost a year and a half of renewals. Now here at Family First Life, you can walk in the door day one and you can, help out 20 families. And then you can move to Spain and decide that you want to, paint. And your renewals are going with you. Nobody's going to take those. Not me, not your upline, not the company. No one's going to take them. They're yours. They're yours for life. The third thing being the average agent's income in terms of the life insurance industry. Now, this is huge because this just opens my eyes to what kind of vehicle we're actually driving in here at Family First Life, right? So the average agent income, according to LIMRA, which LIMRA is, kind of what the life insurance industry works off of. The average average income of a life insurance agent is $43,000 a year. Which, I'm like, that doesn't sound appealing, right? At least I was like, okay, if that's the case, like, get me out of here now, right? Now, the average, income for an agent at Family First Life is $174,000. Now, you might be scratching your head saying, well, why is that? Well, I know I talked about the comp and the renewals, but above that is our training platforms. Our training platforms, first and foremost, are free. If anyone's trying to say, hey, you should come work at this company and pay for training, you should leave. Like, let's all take that in, right? Like, hey, come work at this company, pay for your training. Like, no. Like that makes absolutely no sense. So free training, and not only free training, but free training from people who are actually out there doing it, right? So we go back to Sean Mike starting the company. Sean Mike didn't just wake up one day and say, oh, I have this great business idea and I'm going to go open a life insurance company. Sean Mike was an agent, is an agent, right? He helped a bunch of agents and helped hundreds and thousands of families become protected. So when I think about Sean Mike, it was, okay, I'm standing beside somebody who actually went out and has done this. Somebody who actually went out and built a business. Somebody that actually went out and made it happen and helped families. So our training is coming only from agents who are helping 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 families a month, and from people who are building organizations at an extremely high level. Never at Family First ever will you find somebody who's training that isn't helping at least 20 families a month. It's just not heard of. And that's extremely important because you can be in the best vehicle, but if you don't have any training, you don't know what the vehicle does, right? So fifth thing would be leads. Now, if you're on this call and you are in the industry or you've been in the industry, then you might be saying, okay, I know what a lead is. Now, if you're not, and you were like I was coming in, you're like, I have no idea what that means, right? So a lead is essentially, it's a potential client. So it's somebody who has reached out and essentially asked for help with their life insurance plans, meaning that they filled out a form, whether that was direct mail, they filled it out online, they filled it out on Facebook to make sure that they could have an inquiry of, can somebody come out and review my insurance with me? Now, we have people like, you don't want to be Joe, that doesn't get invited to the family barbecues because Joe's just always trying to sell his family and friends, life insurance. With leads, guys, that's what differentiates that, right? Because I know when I bought a life insurance agent, I saw a white guy with a black briefcase walking into someone's house, and it's like, let's cut that off here, right? Leads are what's gonna project our business. Lead flow is cash flow. Lead flow and activity is cash flow. So my point being is leads are potential clients. So this is how we reach out to people. We don't cold call, we don't prospect. When you come in, no one's gonna say, hey Joe, give me a list of your 50 top friends and family, and I'm gonna teach you how to train off of them. That would be actually taking advantage of you. So if anybody asks you for that list, don't give it to them or go take it back right now. And then truly just being independent. Like here at Family First Life, we do not have a contract. And now guys, just for some insight behind that, we don't have a contract here at Family First Life, but in the prior company I was with, we did indeed have a contract. Now, in that contract, it stated a lot of things that if it had to go through a litigation, I personally don't want to deal with. So same thing, no contract, you're coming in, it's up to you, right? And then no fees. So like I mentioned, no fees for training, no fees for anything, right? Even in terms of if you're coming in and you don't have a license yet, we'll pay for your pre-licensing course to help you go ahead and receive that license. So that's huge. Our job is to teach you how to be successful in helping families or in building an agency or both, depending on what your goals are. So you might be sitting on this call and thinking like, okay, am I on the right call, right? Like, how do I know if this company even does anything? So first and foremost, and this is a factuality, it's not like my personal opinion, we are 15 times, if not now more, 15 times bigger than the next largest IMO. So let's really think about that, guys. Family First Life got started in December of 2014, okay? And in the first full year that Family First Life was in business, they issued 22.1 million. And just for some perspective, in 2020, when the pandemic hit, and basically everybody's income and jobs were getting hit, things were getting cut, things looked a lot different, we issued 325 million as a company. So if you look at a growth chart, it's on an up and up trend. That's a company that makes me excited, and that's a company that I want to be a part of. Because a lot of companies out there, they don't care if they're growing or not, because the person at the top line is making so much money, it doesn't matter. They're like, I don't care if we grow, we don't grow, I make money. The way Family First Life is set up and the way Sean Mike set it up is if we're not growing as a company, we're not making money. And that's the way that we wanted it, right? So who do we work with, right? So you might be thinking on this call, like maybe, for example, my first company was a captive organization, meaning I could only work with one insurance company's products. Being a broker at Family First Life means we work with about 20 to 30 A and A+ rated companies, and we partner with them, meaning we have access to different parts of their product lines, etc. We're number one with a lot of these different companies like America, Mutual of Omaha. You guys may have heard of, CVS, Aetna, Transamerica, Columbian Financial Group, American General, SBLI or Prosperity, right? So all these different companies we work with. So what else is important to me is I'm able to help each and every person I'm sitting with no matter what their health ailment is and no matter what their age is. And that was so, so important to me, being that my mom did get sick with cancer when she was in her 40s, right? So that was extremely, extremely important to me, because in my first company, I wouldn't have been able to get my mom coverage, whether I worked there or not. Here, I'm able to get my mom, I would have been able to get my mother coverage, because we are allowed to essentially help everybody. And that is huge, guys. You don't really see the value of that until you see the value of that. So what type of insurance do we sell? So we're really a full service insurance brokerage. And really what I mean by that is some places will specialize in final expense, mortgage protection, advanced market sales, or Medicare supplement. We work under all 4 of those umbrellas. So we help people with their final expenses through whole life insurance products. We help people with their mortgages. So in the event that they should die, get sick, get hurt, disabled, it's going to make sure their mortgage payment or their mortgage is paid off, depending on the situation. Our advanced market sales, we have index universal life products and fixed index annuities to help our clients really be able to turn on pension lifetime income. And that's really cool and it's really fun. And then our last would be Medicare supplement. So if you're on here and you're like, I love Medicare, we do too. So Medicare supplement, and there are leads for each and every one of those categories. So just to kind of hit on lead types. So we work under 3 different lead types, the way that they're actually generated. The first way is a direct mail form, meaning that somebody, for example, maybe just got a mortgage. They get a form in the mail and it will say, to the Smith family, in the event, John Smith, that you should die, the mortgage amount of $325,000 will be paid out. In the event you should become sick, the mortgage will be paid out. If you should become disabled, fill your information up below. If you're interested in, taking advantage of this, send it back. They fill the form out, they send it back in the mail. We get the lead, we call it, we book the appointment, we go to their house and we help them. So that's a direct mail lead. The second type of lead is a Facebook final expense lead. So these are people that are on Facebook, and to be honest, our older folks, so to say, or people over the age of 50, 60, they're more on Facebook than they are on Instagram, or, you fill in the blank, or TikTok or whatever. So essentially Facebook final expense is exactly what it sounds like. It's final expense leads that are generated on Facebook. They ask a series of different questions, and we have several dozen vendors that do these types of leads. The third type is internet leads. So somebody's on the internet and maybe they type into their Google search, maybe they type in life insurance or looking for life insurance. They're then going to get prompted to a website. It could also be off of, for me, I'm on Nike.com, right? And if I've been Googling, right, because I feel like Google, our phones know, our computers know, our devices know what we've been looking at. When I'm on Nike.com, it might show to the right-hand side. It might be like, if you died tomorrow, what would your loved ones be thinking today, right? And the person clicks on that, and then they read into it a little bit, and they fill in all their personal information, which raise your hand if you've done that. I've never have, right? And then they fill the whole form out, right? Who's the beneficiary? Their daughter, Sarah. Okay, great. We get the lead in real time. We call the lead, book the appointment, help the family. So all 3 of these lead types, we're calling the lead, either booking the appointment or doing a one-call close, and we're helping that family. So again, we do have a virtual side. We also have an in-home side. I work predominantly on the in-home side. We have a lot of agency and a lot of success on the virtual side. If you are a new agent or you're just new to Family First Life, I will openly recommend that you get into your first 100 homes before you start thinking about doing everything virtually. With the type of platform that we're on, guys, there's no nicer way for me to say this except the platform we're on, the income ability that we have to make. If you have to get your butt out there and get to people's homes and help them in face-to-face, people love that. And they feel like, they will actually have their best interests at heart. So just putting that out there, if you're brand new on this call and you're wanting to get into telesales, I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying, in my personal opinion, and get with your upline, you should start in-home your first 50 to 100 homes to get a really good feel for it. And now, in terms of our compensation, our compensation plan, like I mentioned, 90 to 145%, right? So how does that work? So we have producer structures and we also have builders contracts. So it's not like you have to do, it's not like you have to, help 10 families and your team has to do this. We have or contracts, meaning you have to help X amount of families or your team has to do this. So we have very, very clear promotion guidelines, which are right behind me. Reach out to the person who asked you to hop onto this call. I'm sure they'll be happy to send those to you. And they're very outlined of exactly what you have to do to get there. And that's extremely, extremely important. Now, with that being said, I think it's important to go over how we get paid because it can be a little bit confusing. I'm going to use the most simplistic example that I know how to use. So give or take, the average client's premium per month for a policy is going to be $100, okay? So the way we get paid is we're going to take the monthly premium, so in this case, $100, and we're going to multiply it by 12 because there's 12 months in the year. Okay, so we're going to get $1,200. Now the insurance carriers are going to give us 9 months of that up front. So they're going to give us that $900 right up front. And now you might say, well, what happens to the other 3 months? Great question. In month 10, 11, and 12, when your clients make their month 10 payment, you're going to get your renewal or your back end. So you had $300 remaining. You have 100 coming to you in month 10, 100 coming to you in month 11, 100 coming to you in month 12. And then your renewals will start, right? So you're always getting paid your full commission level, right? As the client has paid the full 12 months. So 9 months up front, anything after that you receive in month 10, 11, and 12. Which I always like to say, month 10, 11, and 12 is when it gets really fun. And now let's just say you're like, well, you know what, this sounds really great, but I don't want to sell life insurance for the rest of my life. Guess what? I love this industry, but I don't think any of us want to sell life insurance for the rest of our lives, right? So building, and this is really important because I always think about it like this. So if I was never introduced to Family First Life, what would my life look like today? And to be really transparent with you guys, I'm not really sure what it would look like, but I can tell you, I don't believe that it would look as good as it does now. And even in my 2 other insurance companies I worked with prior to Family First Life, what I found was they weren't the right fit for a long term. It didn't show longevity. So agency builders contracts. So stay with me, guys. Let's just say that, John comes in, and John, let's just say, has been here for a little while, and John is at 110%. And now John brings in his friend Sally, okay? And he says, I want to start Sally at 100%. Now, every time Sally makes a sale, John is going to receive the difference, so that 10%. So 100 to 110, John gets the 100%. I'm sorry, Sally gets the 100%. John gets the 10% as his override income. And now if we think about it like this, in the essence of, if you have yourself and 9 other people, and you're all helping 10 families a month or issuing $10,000 of business, your override income is going to be just off of those 9 other agents that are assuming they're issuing $10,000 a month. You want to think about it like this: 10% of 10,000. So $1,000 additionally is going to be going into your pocket just for exposing this opportunity to somebody else. And now there's a couple ways to view that, right? It's like, well, how long is John going to keep Sally at 100%? Here's the good news. John and Sally are both in control thanks to this guy, the commission guy, right? So it's going to make sure that essentially you're always building your business, and you're building your business strong. So essentially your compensation level and the difference between the person you're hiring would be your spread or your override. I don't want to fail to mention one last thing, which would be bonuses. Now, we are extremely spoiled here at Family First Life from compensation, renewals, leads, free events, free training, and everything else above that I just named. And it's extremely important to remember that we also get bonused off of our personal production, as well as what we call a vice president bonus. So when your group is issuing $150,000 of bonusable premium, you now qualify for a vice president's bonus. So there is a great bonus structure to that. Reach out to the person who invited you to watch this. I'm sure they'll be happy to send that over to you. With that being said, there's also producer bonuses. So Sean Mike thinks it's really important to, recognize if somebody's writing $30,000 a month or more in business on their own personal pen, let's bonus them. The bonuses are literally limitless. Like they start at $500 and they go all the way up to, I believe, 10. And that's just on your own personal pen.